You're inside the Press Box. Christian FM Sports presents Inside the Press Box, where we discuss all sports from our favorite high school team to college and pro. Here's your hosts, Paul Tipton and Gary Paris.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We're in the Press Box. Vero Nation, love to have you here as always. I'm Paul Tipton along with Gary Paris as we work our way towards Week 6. And in Week 5, Vero Beach on the road one more time in Brevard County to take on Heritage, a team that we had faced a year ago in round 1 of the playoffs. Came away with a win. Friday night, another win. Now, wasn't the same type of battle that it was a year ago in the playoffs, but it was a battle. What looked to be was going to be a shootout. I mean, an offensive shootout. I mean, both teams came out on their opening possessions and went down the field, bang, bang, bang. And Gary and I were thinking, oh my goodness, we're in for a offensive battle here tonight. Turned out to be a total opposite defensive battle with a score of 10-7, the final, and Vero Beach gets its second win of the season, GP.
Yeah, it was a win is a win, no matter how you play it or what you do. What wins the game for you is that outstanding defense. Defense really had one big play they gave up. One big play they gave up. They threw a long pass of about 60-some-odd yards, and that was their first drive. Their quarterback, Jackson, laid one out there, a beautiful thrown ball in there for a touchdown, and you're thinking, like you just said, we're in for a shutout. Well, hey, it wasn't there. It was a defensive battle from there on out. Yep. We had some opportunities, but we weren't able to connect and put them in the make them happen in the end zone. We had a lot of penalties. We had probably the worst game of snaps.
Yeah,
bad snaps.
Yeah, we did,
which is unusual for Vero, but we had way too many bad snaps, and I'm talking about low snaps to the right or to the left, and a quarterback has to take his focus off the field, and he has to make sure he gets the ball. And you take a low snap, Paul, and you go down and you have to get it, and but you got to drop your head, you drop your eyes.
Yeah.
And whereas if you get, and then you have to come back up and try to find the field, find your progression and in routes. And it's almost impossible because then you start to scramble, and then you're trying to hurry something. Yeah. You see a different colored jersey coming at you, then it's really tough on a quarterback to be able to have to adjust that quick on a play. But again, for some reason, we had a lot of those. I think that took our offense out of sync. We never were able to really get it back in the sync because of the situation. And I know Coach was upset. He was upset at halftime because of the progression by the quarterbacks. He wasn't reading it. But the hard thing was a lot of times when you go back and look at the film, his eyes had to drop off the field or off the secondary to find, to get the snap.
Yeah.
And I thought Mons he only threw the ball 13 times. He completed 9 of them, but there were more than 13 passes called.
Yeah, that's true.
And because he scrambled and he had to run for, he ran 22 times. Okay. That tells you that, he only had 83 yards, which is a little over around almost 4 yards a carry. But a lot of those were scrambling and to avoid sacks and to avoid, throwing some, errant passes. I get that out.
Well, just like the ball game, Gary, every now and then we have some miscues as well. Yeah. But, what's really interesting now when you go back and look at this ball game, so Vero Beach on the opening kickoff hits a high, short pooch kick. It bounces around.
By design.
Yeah, by design. And we end up stealing a possession there. And how pivotal did that possession become?
Excellent field position.
Excellent. And we score.
We take it right down the field and score.
Right. Now, you think about this for a moment, Gary. What if, let's just play the what if game for a second. What if Heritage got the ball and had had their own offensive drive to start the ball game. Not saying Vero Beach wouldn't have come back and scored, but man, you talk about seizing an opportunity that ended up absolutely helping you win a ball game.
Yeah, it was by design. They picked a certain player they wanted to go after, and Sam Kynes hit that thing high in the air, dropped it in on it. He didn't handle it. That's because he's not used to handling the football coming at him. It bobbled it, and he muffed it, and Vero Beach recovered it and had excellent field position and went right down in the end zone, and we were up 7-0. You and I are thinking, well, this is good. You know what I mean? This is good. This team coming in was a good, solid team. It was solid.
Yeah.
They only had one win and they had 3 losses, but their losses were to good teams. Cocoa, they lost to Cocoa, a Galley.
Right.
Okay, we had played a Galley. We know what they beat us, but they played some quality teams also.
Yep.
And so we knew they were going to be solid. It wasn't it's going to be a blowout, and it wasn't. It was a great football game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm looking at my drive chart from the ball game, and it's like you get first possession, score, second possession, score. Then it's punt, 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 fumble, punt, 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 punt. And then we get the ball with not too much time left before the end of the first half. We're able to get down to a certain position, and lo and behold, Coach Jay says, let's try a field goal. And Sam Kynes comes out and hits a 36-yard field goal. Who knew at that moment that was going to be the game-winning field goal?
It was a beautiful kick. He had plenty of distance on it. He's
sure
healthy.
Did.
He's back.
Yeah.
He pulled his groin muscle in about the first week of the season. He's played with it a few weeks, and it got worse and worse. Trying to just do little pooch kicks off for extra points and stuff like that, and it didn't work for him. Well, it kept aggravating it.
Right.
So they finally set him out the week before this game, and then he came back. He was a lot healthier.
Yeah. No.
And a big kick.
God.
A big kick. Yeah, we're up 10-7. We're thinking, okay, and we get the ball to start the second half.
Right. But, as fate would have it, we fumble on that possession.
Yeah.
And then it's just another battle again in that second half. It wasn't all 3 and out. I mean, each offense could come out on the field and maybe put a couple first downs together, but then the defense would stiffen up enough to force a punt. And then near the end of the ball game, late in the fourth quarter, Heritage gets themselves in a position to try to tie the game up with a 28-yard field goal try, and they miss it.
They did. And again, what is it with us in Brevard County? We've been up there now twice.
I know what you're going to say.
We've had a kick by in our first road trip up here was a muff snap, and he picked it up and he ran, and we had him hit, tackled, and then they.
There's something about punting the ball in Brevard County.
Yeah, yes. A Galley kicks, and we get called for roughing the kicker.
Right.
And we would have had the ball in excellent field position going in. It's a difference of a ball game.
Totally.
Losing to a Galley. Galley's 5-0. We lost to them. We shouldn't have lost to them. We felt like we probably could have won that game. And then we get back up here. They have another one, bad snap. We block it. He does pick it up.
Yep.
And he rolls to his right. He kicks it, but we block it.
Yeah.
And the ball's running around. Now, what we couldn't see was who recovered it.
Right.
And the rule is it doesn't matter who recovers it. It would have been Vero ball at that time.
Yeah.
If they hadn't what I'm about to say is that we actually scooped the ball or picked it up. One of our guys picked it up, and they ran 2 steps and then got the ball stripped out of his hands. We couldn't see that.
We could not see that at all.
So the possession changed, and then Heritage stripped the ball from our defender, and they recovered it. and they were given the ball. So what we thought was a bad call because we couldn't get a report. The sideline guys, the mics are terrible on that, and that when you get that far out, it's hard to get everything to work right down on the field. And we found out later, we got text about instant replay. Did a great job showing that he took 2 steps.
Yeah, he did, and so the officials got it right. I mean, I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to hear what Coach Jankowski has to say about it because he may have a different view on that. But I mean, by what we understand, it seems like the officials got it right. And
I'm like you. I'd like to hear what he said. Maybe we'll ask him at Cap's Pizza for Coach's Corner on Tuesday night.
I'll let you ask him.
Yeah, I don't mind asking him that. I'll ask him that one.
Okay, all right.
But what it did, though, it took away excellent field position for us and another chance to go down and score.
Yeah, it certainly did. And so, things are what they are. But then, even past that, Gary, there was a couple more times where there were what we felt like were pretty questionable calls. And that is in the area of targeting. So there was one run in particular where our boy Trey Woods, who's just a freshman by the way, but man, he is fearless, and he came up and smacked that running back. Now, at first glance, I'm just saying, as from an official standpoint, they looked at it as it was helmet to helmet. You look at the replay; it's not.
It's not. He leads with his shoulder.
They don't get that,
and his shoulder pad in his arm. Yeah, and they don't get the privilege of that. And again, I'm not faulting the referee. I said to you that could have been helmet to helmet for what he saw, what we saw.
Right.
I thought it was probably helmet to helmet. I didn't until you played the instant replay. When we saw the instant replay, we saw then that it wasn't.
Right.
And we had 2 calls like that.
And we had 2 of them. So then the second one, that one, even by what I would say in real time by the naked eye, I don't know what they saw because that wasn't even close to a targeting.
I really think that sometimes, like when Wood hit the running back or the offensive player, he literally almost knocked the kid back. It did.
Yeah, he
set
did.
him back right on his fanny. It was a vicious hit.
It was.
But football's a game of hits.
It is.
It's vicious hitting. Yeah. You can't go and say, well, you tackled too hard, so we're going to call you a penalty on you for unsportsmanlike conduct because you tackled too hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's. But that official thought it was helmet to helmet. And we'll leave it at that. Yeah. It was a wrong call. 2 of them they missed, but I can't blame them because they're out there.
But to your point, though, like what you're saying, like with the whole situation when we played O'Galley, that could have been and was probably a difference in a win or a loss for Vero Beach.
Absolutely.
This potentially had that same situation because you had in that drive you had 2 different targeting calls.
Right.
Okay, so there's 30 yards of penalties right there that ultimately helped set them up for that field goal try.
One was on 3rd down.
Yeah.
And they would have had to punt the ball.
Correct.
They got 15 yards on that play.
Yeah.
And they would have had to punt it. So, again, those are things in a game. There's something about coming up north. We still got 2 more trips up here, up to Brevard County.
Yep.
And I'm not looking forward to either one of them, even though we should win. But something about Brevard County.
Yeah, well, we know what's coming. So,
but we know we got a good game this week.
Boy, do we. And this is going to be a good one. It's homecoming week, so, coaches, always have to deal with the distractions that come with homecoming week. Look, you want the kids to have fun. It's part of being a high school student. You get to enjoy homecoming week, so you got to try to balance it out the best you can. But, as coaches will tell you, like, okay, what is the whole center point of homecoming? There's this football game that we play, and, if we don't do our part, then we've ruined homecoming. So you got to do your part. And Vero Beach now coming off, it's on a 2-game winning streak. And now you've got another key district ball game. And Fort Pierce Central right now coming in here 4-1 has been playing some good football, Gary. And regardless of, I know you're going to talk about the level of competition that they've played, but regardless of that, I mean, they're getting wins. I mean, what a change from a year ago.
Absolutely. They come in 4-1. They're on a winning streak of 4 straight games. Their only loss was to Viera, 10-7, the opening game. This team has scored 185 points in their 5 games. They have only given up 37 points in the 5 games.
That's pretty doggone good.
That's a big difference to that. This team throws the ball. They love to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm. Whoa. Are you telling me a Mike Watkins team likes to throw the ball?
Well, I should. Our audience may not know that, but Mike was once an offensive coordinator at Vero Beach before he became a head coach down in St. Lucie County. And they got a quarterback, Lamatino, that throws the ball well. He's
we saw him last year.
Yes, and he's a senior. We saw him as a junior. Mm-hmm. He's thrown for almost 900 yards passing in the 5 games.
Wow.
He's averaging a little over 71% of his passes are completed. So he's very accurate.
Yeah.
And he has 12 touchdowns. Now, here's the big stat. 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. So
takes care of the ball.
That's one reason that they've won their 4 games and nearly lost. They only lost to Viera 10-7. So, and Latino's a good rusher also too. He runs the ball. He runs well. They don't do a lot of running, but they do. They will, at times take the running ball. They have running backs like Jay Love. His name is Love. He's a junior. He's carried the ball 20 times for 133 yards. He has 1 touchdown, and he's their. So they do mix it up in there. This is a good team. Mm-hmm. I'm putting it not a great team. It's a good team. They played some competition that is not what you call your best competition. If you go through and you check max preps and you go in there and you say to yourself, okay, you look at their opponents. I always study our opponent we're playing, their opponents. Mm-hmm. Like last week we had Heritage. We knew they played a Galley and they played Cocoa.
Right.
So we knew that they had played some really good teams in there. So you go to Central now and you look at it, and Central played Viera, which was their only loss. Then they played Lake Placid. Mm. They won 61-7. They played Nova, won 35-8.
Okay.
They played Tradition Prep, where everybody in the St. Lucie County is. They're a newer school. Mm-hmm. They won 48-6. Then they play Inlet Grove, and they won 34-6. So all that being said, that's 185 points.
Yeah, right.
And they're winning the games that they're supposed to win. Then when you take it and you look at Vero's strength of schedule, Vero Beach has strength of schedule is plus 25.8.
Okay.
That means we've played some really good teams. Fort Pierce Central's strength of schedule is a minus 13.3.
Okay.
So we
should be favored, is what you're saying. Then we should be favored.
We should be, and we will probably be favored to win this game. But overall, Vero Beach is ranked 81 in the state. Mm-hmm. Central is ranked 179th in the state. Okay. So you got 2 teams that are trying to get back. One's on the winning track. Mm-hmm. Another one has got 2 wins under its belt and trying to now fight for its district game. This is the second district game.
Yeah.
You win this, then you really, really control your district.
Yeah, if Vero wins this game, that's 2 district wins. That puts them in the driver's seat for the district title.
Because head-to-head, we win. Because if we lose to Treasure Coast, and Treasure Coast only has 1 win in a district, but we got Treasure Coast in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And we will play them. toward the end, next to last game.
Yeah.
And Central will have already played them too. So we can go in controlling our own destiny.
Yeah, well, you and I said this from the get-go. It's like, regardless of what the overall record looks like for Vero Beach, the three most important games on that schedule are your district games. If you can go 3-0 in your district, you got a district title, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
That's it. I mean, and we have really, I think, one great game left, folks, on our schedule. All of them are going to be good, but one great game is Booker T. Washington out of Miami.
Yeah.
Well, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. I don't care if they're ranked.
Well, yeah, I mean, you
50th or whatever.
You know what to expect when a team from Miami comes to play you. You know there's going to be a lot of speed on the field.
Yep.
Period.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that sets a stage for Vero Beach going into this week with homecoming, and you got Fort Pierce Central. There's a lot of different storylines here, folks. You got Vero Beach. Can they keep their winning streak alive? Go to 3 games now and even up their record. Can they get a district win? It's a key district win and stay in the hunt for a playoff berth. Can they, play better football than they did a week ago? I mean, give credit to the defense for Heritage. I think they played a pretty good defense, but I promise you that there were a lot of miscues on that offensive side of the ball too. And, can you clean those up, get improvement, and, get a little more continuity?
Bad snaps. That's the one thing they're going to. I guarantee you, Coach is working on that this week. The weather may have a factor.
Could be a potential factor.
Could be.
Depending on where that storm is by the time we get to kickoff.
We may get outer bands, and that's what they're calling for some rain that Friday night. But again, calling for it on Tuesday is different.
Exactly. Right.
We never know what's going to happen on Friday night. So. But with that being said, it's a homecoming game. It's a game of coach. They love the homecoming theme, but they hate it as a coach because you got distractions.
Sure,
you got so many events after practice. They got they got a powder puff game, and they all on Thursday, and they all want to go watch that, and they want to coach, and they have fun doing that, and then you got your homecoming on Saturday, and you're where are you going to go to eat?
Right.
Who's your date?
Right.
What am I going to wear?
Yep.
Instead of focusing in on Fort Pierce Central, coaches hoping that they can get their attention and say, "Hey, look, guys, we're playing a team that's 4-1. It's a district team, so we've got to win this game." And boy, I tell you what, it would drive me crazy to be a coach on homecoming. But Lenny can handle it. He does. He does a good job. I say
he does. And, I expect our team to be ready to play. And, hey, want to take a quick side note here, Gary, and talk about Champ Mons, our quarterback, freshman quarterback. Last week, even though it was only a 116-yard performance through the air, he got enough yardage that he went past 1,000 yards last week. Yes, he did. I think he's like 1,071 or something yards in 5 games. And as a freshman, he's a very, very talented young man. I really like the kid. I like him more than because he's an athlete, because of who the person is. Yeah, he's a great person. He's humble. He's very kind. He's he studies the game. He knows the game. He loves to play the game, but he doesn't. The game is when you talk to him, he's not consumed by it. He's consumed about you. He'll walk up to you and say, "Hey, how you doing, Coach Paris? You doing okay?" Yeah. And I go, "Yeah." I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, that he's been brought up pretty good. Let's put it that way. He may have been brought up to play football, but he's also been brought up to be a gentleman and I agree. And he's pretty smart too, a scholar. All right. I know we got just a few more minutes left here, Gary, before we get out of here. Last weekend with college. Hey, how about your Seminoles? Got a first win. Hey, man, I'll take it any way I can. 14-9. Hey. We'll take it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and badmouth Cal. I mean, I traditionally that's usually a pretty good program. So, hey, good win. It was a great defensive battle. We got enough scores to win that game. Like I said, 14-9. And it was fun. It was fun to watch Florida football. I say the state of Florida, the Big Four
that play in it. Your school, Miami, who's in the top 10, is struggled in the first half with South Florida.
It made me nervous for a little while.
Yeah, and then the second half, they just showed why they are number 8 in the country. They're good. Miami came out.
That showed me a lot, Gary. I mean, the last 2-3 seasons, Miami, when it's had success for whatever reason, whether it's going into the second half of the season or the second half of a ball game, they just have not shown up well. So the way that they came out in this ball game was like, okay, this could be a new version of Miami football.
Wow. I tell you what, look out, rest of the ACC, because this Miami team is for real. And how about Florida getting a big win over Mississippi State? Which,
boy, did they need that.
They needed that. And I really thought they were going to beat Mississippi State. Mississippi State is struggling. They have a new head coach came in, Jeff Louie, who's an offensive-minded coach. You got to get the right athletes.
He's one of your old buddies.
He is. He coached at UCF, was the offensive coordinator there, and left and gone to Ole Miss, and he's been to some other Oklahoma. But he is now the head coach at Mississippi State, and Florida did what they needed to do. They won that game 45-28, and UCF was off last week, but this week...
Boy, they got a fun one coming, huh?
Ooh, they got a fun one coming up this week. UCF plays Colorado in Orlando. And if anybody, they won the way they won the game, I know they beat Baylor in overtime. And
that was something.
It was a fantastic game. First of all, they had to throw a 50-yard pass on a Hail Mary on fourth down or more. Well, Sanders' son, his son, Sunyar, wherever how they say his name.
Shedeur?
Shedeur, yeah, thank you. Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur.
He threw a ball that a kid named Masters slipped right in behind the defender, went down on his knees, and caught it in the end zone. If that's an incomplete pass, then the game's over with. But they get it, they tie it, and they go into overtime. And they go in and they score. Then Baylor has the ball. Baylor's running back, as he's getting, is a yard out, got hit a yard out now. And the ball popped loose.
Yeah.
And they fumbled it, and Colorado recovered it. And so now they come in, they're 3-1, and we're 3-0, and we're looking for a big battle there at against Coach Prime and his teams. We're favored to win. I don't know how they come up with all this stuff. Just like, Miami plays on a Friday night against Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech's not a bad team, but Miami's favored by 19.5 points. And then Florida State plays SMU at SMU, and SMU's favored by a half point. Well, how do you...
Really?
Yeah, how do you... I don't know how to do all that, but I'm not an odds maker. But a half point, which means... It's almost like we're going to give them a half point because they're playing in Dallas.
I was going to ask if it was in Tallahassee or Dallas.
So the Big Four, and with that, the Gators are having an open date this week, and because they got to get ready to play UCF at home.
Oh boy, that's going to be a fun one.
Yes, it is. So that's our top 4 teams in the state of Florida rundown for this week.
Yeah, of course, NFL, I don't know why. My Niners lost last week. I could not believe that.
I didn't even bring that up. I wouldn't know. No, I'm not talking about my team. I love the Dolphins. And they didn't even show up to play football. And again, without Tua there, oh, my goodness. I mean, Skylar Thompson.
They've got some struggles ahead of them.
He just didn't fit the mold. Defenses were setting back, and I don't know what Miami's going to do right now. They got him on a week-to-week type thing, or they may have put him on injured reserves. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
They give him 4 weeks to make his decision. So that's tough. Jacksonville looked terrible.
Jacksonville looked terrible.
Terrible last night. Looked terrible. Now, and Tampa Bay lost.
They lost. Yep.
It's a tough week for the state of Florida in the NFL.
It was, and hopefully those teams can rebound, and certainly hope that my Niners can rebound. But I was totally shocked. I wasn't able to watch the game because it wasn't on around here in this area, and so I was kind of keeping track of the scores, and I'm thinking, oh, we got this in hand, and then somehow late in the fourth quarter, man, the stinking Rams come back and win that ball game. I was totally shocked by that. So, because especially given
close game,
it was a close game. Close
yeah.
game. I guess what's more surprising to me is our defense is pretty good, and for them to come back on that defense, I'm like, what happened?
Well, one of the things too that you guys don't, a lot of people don't know, probably got one of the best athletes out right now with an Achilles stretch in his heel,
Right, but that's on your offensive side.
That's on the offense, right? And because without Christian McCaffrey, you're a different team out there.
Totally. Well, I mean, actually, right now, Gary, we got McCaffrey's out, Deebo Samuel is out, Kittle was out for that game, but still, you put up 24 points.
You hope your defense can win.
By NFL standards, 24 points should get you a win. Especially when you got one of the best defenses in the league, you should have a win. So that's why I was a little surprised.
Yeah, well, and Purdy didn't have a bad game.
No, no. And
most underpaid quarterback in the
Jennings,
country.
who's like probably the third or fourth receiver on the depth chart, had a phenomenal game. And
Folks, this is the only place you're going to ever listen to and know a lot about San Francisco. Trust me. This guy is diehard San Francisco since he was a kid.
Oh, yeah. Very much San Francisco 49ers fan. And you can thank my mom for that. She's a California girl. She's the one that got me looking at the San Francisco 49ers a long, long time ago. So, all right. Well, that leaves us, Gary, with the most important game for us is the Vero game this Friday night.
Yep.
It's going to be a good one. It's homecoming night, Fort Pierce Central. It's a district game. You got two buddies that will be coaching on opposite sidelines, and Coach Jankowski and Coach Mike Watkins. There's going to be a number of storylines through this ball game. We are looking forward to it. Make sure if you don't have your tickets now, get your tickets. Be at the ball game. It's always fun at the Citrus Bowl. Of course, you can always listen to the games and watch the games through Christian FM and the Vero Nation Network on YouTube. Thanks for joining us in the Press Box. Gary Parrish, I'm Paul Tipton. As always, go Indians.
Thanks for joining us inside the Press Box. For more, go to ChristianFM.com.